Zillow's loyalty is to the consumer. They need the consumer to trust their brand. Otherwise, they lose credibility. And what they tell you is you're a glorified door opener. And then if you have some skills, then you can get an appointment from the opening of the door instead of getting the skills to not have to go open doors for random people.
The mistake that so many agents make in the marketplace, and it's not their fault, but it is their responsibility and it is their problem, is the fact that they stay so surface level with the prospect that they never get an opportunity in order to actually become the advisor. They never are able to shift from the order taker opportunity.
It's not about Zillow. It's not about NAR. It's not about the market. It's about the responsibility that agents have. Like, it's not your fault, but it is your problem. You don't have a leads issue. Now, if you have a team and your team's doing 25, yes, you might need more leads. But if you're just a single agent, you're doing under 2 to 3 deals a month, you don't have a leads issue. You have a skills issue. And you never hear anybody talk about sales skills because that's the actual work.
You're listening to the #1 real estate podcast in the world. We talk with real estate professionals all across North America about their wins, losses, lessons, and stories. Help you win in your local market today. My name is Cody from Sharon Street. I'm joined with Vikram Deol of the Real Estate Sales Academy. Vikram, what's happening? It's been a while since we've done one of these. We had a scheduled podcast today, but something possibly came up. Maybe it was a show. Maybe it was a buyer's agreement. Maybe it was a listing. Who knows? It was a realtor. Realtors get busy. We get that. But today we want to jam about what's happening in the world of buyer representation. What's happening in the world of Zillow.
The most
helps agents.
The most hated word. The most hated word.
I don't know. I understand why, but it is what it is.
Well, I mean, it's the reason why is because a lot of agents don't understand the business model and they feel, and it's not that they hate Zillow. A lot of agents feel that what happened was that the data that NAR collected was effectively used against the agent who was paying the salary of NAR to then open up something that agents now have to pay for. I mean, really, like, it was going to happen at some point, whether it was Zillow or somebody else.
Somebody was in.
And it was actually an overall good thing for the market.
Yeah.
It's just the way that agents are trained, right? It's not their fault. I have a really firm belief, and you and I have discussed this. It's not their fault, but it is their problem, right? Like when I was talking to Jeremy Miner and I was training with him a year and a half or two ago, he was like, he would say, and he says it on all of his podcasts. He goes, it's not your fault you were not given the tools, but it is your problem.
Yeah.
Because when an agent goes to a brokerage, right? Like, think about the fundamentals. So if you work for one of these big investment firms, they do not allow you to start doing business until you've gone through a certain amount of training and onboarding and client experience stuff, called an apprenticeship. If you go and work at a Starbucks or a coffee shop, they don't allow you to work the till, the register, until you've been trained. They don't allow you to just make coffee. But in real estate, it's like you get your license. After you get your license, you go and join a brokerage.
Yeah.
And we have assumed that the brokerage would give us the training and the opportunities, but brokerages are actually now, because of what's happening in the world, brokerages are just a legal entity to protect you.
Yeah.
So their whole goal is to protect themselves. And when you work for like a Morgan Stanley, well, Morgan Stanley gets a piece of every single transaction you do. So they're highly motivated to continue to train you. Whereas in real estate, there's called a cap, right? So if you bring in $1 million, that company might only collect $15,000. Like I'm with Real, we collect $12,000 and then you continue to service, right, your client, and Real collects an administration fee, you could call it, like a per deal administration fee, because their cap's only $12,000. It's super low. As you continue to produce more and more and more, when you get to $16,000, which is lower than any cap that I've ever been with like a decent brokerage, at $16,000, Real credits you the whole $16,000 back in stock.
Which is great.
And right now, Real's like 4x their stocks in the last couple of months. So it's like, holy crap, dude. Like, if they don't even do all that well this year and next year, like they just do a 15% increase, that's still insane.
Yeah.
Because you're getting your whole cap back. But the brokerage model, right, is broken because they don't have the resources to provide the training, and to provide the actual handholding that it takes to be a real estate agent in 2024, because it's just so freaking expensive. And so I used to be with Windermere, and there was 25 offices on what we call the Greater East Side. Each office had a managing broker. Each office had a admin. Each office had a staff. Each office had huge overhead because they were all in downtown Bellevue, Kirkland.
Yeah.
So each office was spending 20 grand, 30 grand, 40 grand a month to keep the lights on. Well, if you're spending that kind of dough to keep the lights on, how do you pay for training for 100 agents?
And it's really like, speaking of training, I think it's really interesting now what's happening in the world of real estate. And I think like it's really interesting because a lot of people aren't aware what's going to happen in July with like the settlements and
August now, but
August
whatever.
Now. Yeah. Well, yeah. August, July.
It's going to get pushed back, but whatever.
Regardless of whether it gets pushed back, it's coming. And I think the important element, like, maybe you could talk a little bit about what's coming, like what we could actually do. First, like, let's talk about, I'll give you an opportunity to talk about what's coming.
Yeah.
In regards to buyer representation. So you kind of break it down. I know we've done a ton of training in the Real Estate Sales Academy around this. And then we can talk a little bit about like what Zillow is doing to kind of like in the head
in front of it
changes that are happening, and kind of what this means is if you buy Zillow leads, or what this means if you buy leads, or what this means if you are doing outbound prospecting, because this is going to impact everyone, regardless of whether you're a buy leads kind of person.
Sure.
Hey, I work my sphere. That's cool. This is still going to affect you. Hey, am I a referral only business? Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's still going to affect you. So can you walk people through like what is changing? What is going to be different? How is this going to impact?
So according to what's going on in the world, and it shouldn't be new news to anybody, but what's going on in the world is that what the proposal on the table was that anybody who's a part of NAR, which is like 98% of real estate agents, will need to have a buyer's agreement of some sort, right? What the buyer agreement looks like could be different. You could have an individual buyer agency agreement for the 4 houses you're going to go look at on Saturday on your first meeting, but there has to be some sort of conversation around a representation, because that's what the whole lawsuit was around.
Yeah.
So how it's going to play out in the world is going to be different, but there has to be a conversation around it.
Yeah.
Representation before, right, you can go out there and start showing property is what is coming to the table.
Let's just break this down a little bit, and then we'll get into the Zillow stuff. That means that me, the agent, I have to explain compensation model prior to going for tour. Yes, no, maybe so.
Doesn't mean anything, actually. I mean, it literally could be like, hey, in order for me to show you these houses, I need you to sign this agreement. And they're going to say, well, what's the agreement? Well, it just says that I'm here showing you these homes, right? And that it could literally be as simple as that, right? From my understanding. Now, I'm not an attorney and I'm not practicing real estate. I've sold a lot of real estate, and we've done a lot of buyer presentations. Because I felt it was important to talk about this 12 years ago when everybody told me I was a dumb fuck. That's okay. We sold $250 million in real estate in 5 years. So something we did made the consumer trust us. What's going to happen though is that you don't necessarily need to talk compensation. You could just say, hey, in order for us to show you these properties, and this is what a lot of agents are going to say, they're going to fumble their way through this. Yeah. They're going to say something along the lines of like, in order for us to show you properties, you have to sign this 1-day agreement that says that we're here to show you properties for 1 day. And if you guys decide to buy it within that 1 day, right, one of those homes, then we would potentially be representing you. Now, because agents are not going to have the skills and the experience and the reps to say this, brokerages are probably going to have to loosen the terms up. Because like, dude, let's be real. If I have a conversation with somebody on the phone, and I would love for you to pull up a conversation of what phone calls look like right now so that we could show people what 89, 95%. Like I was listening to some of our clients over in Sheridan who fumbled through calls, right? Because our teams actually review calls and they were fumbling and they said, hey, Vic, can you give a couple of pointers to some of our clients that are not inside of your sales training on what you would have done? And then they're like, and we want to learn too, so that we can give them better advice and guidance. everybody's trying to qualify. Nobody's trying to figure out the reason why.
Like, I'll give you an example. This is a super common.
I'm not going to mention any names, but there was 3 people that show up to a lot of training that you and I have done. I was like, do y'all even listen to the training?
Yeah. Like, listen, like.
Good. So if I understand correctly, you're looking for a duplex, 1 million and under?
Correct.
Okay. Any particular areas of San Diego you're interested in?
No.
No, open to all neighborhoods?
Like,
Yes.
Okay. Any particular characteristics? Are you looking for
pause.
something you can fix?
Like, right out the gate, the guy just hit her with sales resistance. Any particular neighborhood you're looking for? No. So wait, you're telling me you'll buy a duplex anywhere in San Diego? Well, no, not anywhere. Okay, so where would you not buy a duplex, right? Like, where would you not, like, no matter how good the duplex deal was, you're just like, I'm not buying there because it's dangerous.
Yeah.
It's got something, right? Like, it's too far from where I currently live. Like, what's one area that you wouldn't buy in San Diego, right? Like, people just accept face value. So, okay, cool. And what the problem is that when you don't have good skills, you just take people's face value. I think this call is only like less than 2 minutes.
Yeah. So it's like you end up becoming a cashier and clerk.
You can just, send me some pictures or a link, whatever, and I could take a look at them. And then if I like them, then we can schedule something so we can take a look at them.
Okay, great. Sounds like a plan.
Thank you. Appreciate your help.
All right, thank you. I'm going to follow up with a text so you have all my contact info.
Thank you so much. You have enjoy the rest of your day, okay?
Great. Thanks for sending me a text. I'm going to literally delete it when I get it, right?
Yeah.
You're an order taker right there. You are literally a glorified order taker because you did not ask any questions. You did not provide any value. So imagine like this person, and like, it's not her fault. Like, she sounds great on the phone. She sounds like she probably knows what she's doing, but she was taught to qualify the lead. So she qualified the lead. She didn't build a two-way conversation though. And so like when she has to go and ask a buyer, right? Hey, so when we go and actually look at properties, we're going to need to do we're going to have to talk about a couple of different strategies in order for us to even show you property. Has anybody actually sat down to share with you like the strategies necessary to find a good deal on a duplex? Like, I don't even know if you're looking for a good deal. Are you looking for cash flow? Are you looking for, like, what is it that you're actually looking for in your next property? Like, do you make a lot of money? And because you make a lot of money, you need to have a tax liability where you're showing negative cash flow so you can have the write-offs balancing out one another. Well, I don't know. Oh, okay. So have you talked to your accountant and your tax advisor about that? Well, no. Okay. So are we looking for long-term equity or short-term cash flow? Well, I don't know. Right? Those are called a sorting question. Okay. So what neighborhoods would you buy or would you not buy it? Another sorting question.
And you have an option to make, like, especially with what's happening right now in the world of real estate, you can either choose to be that cashier, that clerk, or choose to be the advisor. The advisor goes in depth of it's not just the logic, it's the emotional reason, but it's also like just the advisement of like understanding on a deeper level, like what is it that you're trying to accomplish here? Like, what is the end result? I think the mistake that so many agents make in the marketplace, and it's not their fault, but it is their responsibility and it is their problem, is the fact that they stay so surface level with the prospect that they never get an opportunity in order to actually become the advisor, because the questions that they ask are so surface level, they never are able to shift from the order taker opportunity to actually becoming an advisor. And I want to shift gears here because
even like real quick, I'm going through your training that you give to your clients, and we've created it over the years together, but I haven't taken a look at it in a couple of years, not a couple of years, but a couple months now, probably 6 months. And I was like, oh, here's a couple of easy tweaks. Yeah. Right. And you guys, the crazy thing is that most scripting is a 2 millimeter tweak. Add in a little bit of tonality. Now, some people need 100% tonality improvement, but add in a little bit of tonality, add in a little bit more softness, add in a little bit more empathy and curiosity, add in a little bit of playful energy, change a couple of questions around, ask a probing question, a clarifying question to go a little bit deeper, and then learn a game plan frame so that you can actually book an appointment.
Yeah.
And what you notice in a couple of short days with a couple of tweaks, and then having somebody like me or you on one of our client review calls that we do for our private coaching clients, you take your conversion from 10, 15%, which is what we call lay down conversion. And you can take that to 40, 50, 60, 70%. And not everybody's going to work with you, but man, if you could get 4 or 5 appointments a week, you have options.
The real estate industry is being lied to right now. And
it's been lied to.
Yeah, but they're being lied to by marketing companies. They're being lied to by coaches. They're being lied to by the industry. The biggest lie I hear at Facebook groups is sales is a numbers game. Sales
That's fucking bullshit, bro.
Sales is not a numbers game. Sales is a skills game.
We've been working with I've been working with one of your sales guys now more consistently.
Yeah.
We've known each other for years, but we've got more consistent with him, and I have got more consistent. And he goes, Vic, you're the fire hose. He's like, you come to the call and you unleash 8 or 9 things at me. He's like, and in the past I used to get upset, and he's like, you're just going through what you're supposed to do. He's like, and in the past I would be like, it's too much. He's like, but now I'm just taking one piece, one nugget, and I'm implementing it for a few days, seeing how I like it. If I like it, I keep it. If I don't, I come back, I ask you a question. You give me 4 or 5 more things. And then I take one piece at a time. He's like, and then I implement it. And he's like, every day in our Slack channel, I see his sales, and it's like, bam, bam, bam.
Yeah.
I was working with the guy, Mario.
Yeah. There's Mario, there's Jan.
Yeah.
Well,
Mario just put in, Mario's working with the big team. They were coaching with Tom, right? Like the team was coaching with Tom and his coaches. And he left the team. So that's why he joined me back early of last year. And early of last year, he was like, yo, Vic, I don't know if I can commit to working with you long-term because I'm literally like struggling for cash. And I'm like, I thought you're on a team. And he's like, bro, they didn't teach us shit about booking appointments. They taught us how to open doors. And then if the person didn't want to see the property, it was like, go find another person, open the door for. And that's what the biggest thing that you guys get mad about Zillow for is the wrong thing. The thing that you should get mad about Zillow for is that they don't do what you do, Cody, with your clients, which is force them to go through some modules and training so that they understand how to convert the leads. What Zillow makes you do.
Zillow has changed that recently. So I want to give Zillow some credit where credit's due.
What Zillow's still doing is they're telling agents on their premier flex teams is just get them to sign an agreement and open the door.
Yeah.
And then from there, you try to sell them. Yeah. But Zillow, remember, Zillow's loyalty is to the consumer. They're a consumer-facing company, so they need the consumer to trust their brand. Yep. Otherwise, they lose credibility. So their job and what they tell you is basically, you're a glorified door opener.
Yeah.
And then if you have some skills, then you can get an appointment from the opening of the door instead of getting the skills to not have to go open doors for random people.
Well, let's talk about opening doors. Let's go through this article and let's actually say what do we agree with and what do we think is worse shit.
Okay.
So
I like this.
Yeah, I like this too. One condition.
I like that they're having the conversation up front.
Yeah.
So I think,
they're telling them with you before touring. While that may actually say it's consumer, Zillow is not required to offer consumer-facing agreements in light of proposed NAR settlement. However, they're adding a touring agreement.
Yep, I think that's good because they know that otherwise they're going to lose clients. So they're protecting their butts.
Well, you recognize the form agreement may vary state. We're calling on the industry to adopt non-exclusive, limited duration initial tours. They're wanting buyers to sign these tour agreements, and they want the industry to essentially adopt this non-exclusive, limited duration for initial tours conducted by the agent with the prospective buyer.
So that's exactly what I was saying earlier, is because they understand that agents aren't going to know how to pitch and properly offer their services over a crappy phone call because they listen to the same calls you and I listen to.
Goodness.
The clients that work with you worked with Zillow, work with other companies, right?
Zillow. Oh, I listen to some Zillow calls as well. It's not just. I've seen people fumble Like there was a team we were listening to their calls, and I saw one agent fumble 4 pre-approved buyers in like a couple days, and I'm like, it's just fascinating.
So what they've done is it's a non-exclusive limited duration agreement for the additional tour. That's exactly what I just said earlier. I haven't read this. I heard about it, but I didn't read it. So that's exactly what it's saying. Hey, sign this agreement. You don't have to work with us. And it's only for 24 hours or 48 hours, but it's not exclusive. You don't have to work with us. It's only for these 4 homes that we see today.
So yeah. So at the same time, agents,
Zillow knows, it's not about the agent. Zillow knows it's not about the agent. For them, it's about the consumer getting what the consumer wants.
We still anticipate buyers and agents will sign a longer term agreement, compensation term. So it's like, it's a separate touring agreement. And essentially, like, I think that the industry will ultimately adopt this process. Cause like if NAR is saying that they are going to want an agreement, it'll be interesting to, like, what do you think will happen? Do you think that like, what do you think is kind of the better option? Like, if you're saying that they, like, with these touring agreements that cause like,
I think this is a complete hokey pokey bullshit, and it's a soft way out of a bigger problem. And the bigger problem keeps coming down to we lack the skills.
We lack the skills. Explain compensation.
We lack the skills.
This is what the actual entire lawsuit was around compensation. So it's like we lack skills to explain how we're even compensated in the first place.
Dude, you go on to real estate forums. We're going into May 20th right now, right? Yeah. This thing's supposed to land in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Right? The original date was 6 weeks ago. Nobody's doing buyer presentation. Sharon did a buyer presentation strategy session for 14,000 agents. Do you know what the outcome of that was? 400 agents are probably going to do something with it. Everybody else is just like, oh, well, we'll just figure out what happens when it happens.
Crazy.
And so the thing is that the problem is that here's the problem. It comes down to the same thing. Agents are going to use this short-term, non-exclusive. So they're going to be like something like this. Hey, Cody, I have to have you sign this agreement. And the buyer's like, well, I don't want to sign an agreement. Yeah, no worries, man. Like, it's not a problem. You need to sign this so I can show you the home you want to see. It's non-exclusive, which means you can sign it with 10 people.
Yeah.
This is only for the 2 properties I'm showing you. Yeah. And it's only for this weekend.
Bro.
And the buyer's going to be like, well, what if I don't want to use you once I meet you to buy the house? And they're like, yeah, no worries. You can actually go and just because I show you the home doesn't mean you're going to have to buy it with me.
Yeah.
And agents are going to fumble around this stuff, and the good agents are going to rise to the top. And the agents that have, been struggling, have been strapped, have not wanted to spend money and time with somebody like me and get the skills, or somebody else in the industry to get some skills around how to have these conversations. What's going to happen is they're not going to practice because they don't practice a listing presentation. So they all say they want to be listing agents, but they don't put the work in. And there's going to be a huge, huge influx of brand new agents that don't know any difference. They're going to be like, cool, man. So we got to ask for this agreement. Yep. Awesome. They're going to ask, and they're going to have no issues with it because they don't know any different.
Yeah.
And a lot of agents are going to go out of business because they've never had to. Or they're just going to go from 4 deals to 3 to 2 to 1, and they're going to blame the market. They're going to blame NAR. They're going to blame politics. And you can do the blame game all day long, but you're going to get your ass handed to you.
I think this is a super important line in this article. Buying a home is complex. Often comes with a lot of stress. Half of buyers tell us they cried at some point during the process. If we don't sit down for a second here and say, okay, the 1 minute and 30-second call recording we just listened to where, like, we didn't ask any emotional, like, based questions or anything.
We didn't ask any questions at all.
So, but like, if the stats are telling us half of buyers tell us they cried at some point during the process, like, wouldn't we kind of like, isn't this enough proof to kind of show us that, like, we need to figure out a way to kind of like touch into the emotion of like buying or selling property and then kind of justify it with logic?
How many agents have actually read this? Every agent that's doing poorly hates Zillow, and they blame Zillow for their lack of skills. It's not about Zillow. It's not about NAR. It's not about the market. It's about the responsibility that agents have. Like, it's not your fault, but it is your problem.
Yeah.
You don't have a leads issue. Nobody has a leads issue that's doing under 2 or 3 deals a month. You just don't.
Yeah.
Now, if you have a team and your team's doing 25, yes, you might need more leads. But if you're just a single agent, you're doing under 2 to 3 deals a month, You don't have a leads issue.
Yeah.
You have a skills issue. And when you go online, you never hear anybody talk about sales skills because that's the actual work. Like when you go online, why are gyms empty and America's 60% obese with the highest obesity rates in the world, the highest amount of drugs per capita, the most money allegedly in the world, and the highest education? Why are we the least healthy nation? Because nobody wants to actually do work. That's why people don't like what I do. They want to come to you and be like, cool, let's hire an ISA. Cool, let's do this.
Yeah. And
then they get on the calls and they're like, well, the ISA doesn't work. And it's like, dude, these are your leads. These are your open house. Like these are, you know what the greatest part, Cody, is?
Yeah.
People say if I'm just belly to belly with more people, I'll have success.
It's just, but they don't want to do the things
but they go to open houses.
Yeah.
Right. They go to open houses. Like one of the teams I coach privately, it's mandated in their agreement that the agent has to do 2 open houses a week. In order to get the time of the team leader, it's mandated that they do 2 open houses a week.
Yeah.
Out of the 2 open houses a week, they might meet 4 to 8, 12 people because they're typically not getting like the prime open houses.
Makes sense.
And they say, well, that's not a lot of people. And I'm like, wait, you had 4 belly to belly opportunities and that's not enough people? When you told me on the phone, if you could just meet more people in real life, right? So like your hypocrisy doesn't line up. 4 people belly to belly. You said you're good in person with people. You just need more appointments. But when you're in front of people, you don't know what to say. And when we were watching I was doing a training yesterday and we watched Good Will Hunting. And there's a scene where, is it Affleck? Is it Benny Boy? Matt Damon, Benny? I think it's one of the guys, one of the good looking guys, right? He walks up to these 2 girls at a bar and he's like, oh, hey, hello. And the girls look up, they're like, hello. He's like, so do you, and the girl cuts him off and says, come here often. There was 40 people on our training. And I said, hey guys, what just happened there? And they're like, well, he said hello. And I'm like, come on guys, what happened? Nobody realized it. I was like, she knew the line.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, because men are standard when they go to pick up a girl.
Yeah.
At a bar, they say, oh, hey, do you come here often? And because they don't recognize the pattern that she knew what he was going to say.
Yep.
And then they get flustered.
Yep.
Right. So everybody's, oh, you got flustered. I'm like, no, you guys missed it.
Yeah.
It's the same reason why you guys don't recognize the patterns on your sales calls and your presentations. It's why you guys keep getting ghosted. It's why you keep losing opportunities, right? Your neighbor lists the house with somebody else other than you. Why? They know you're a realtor. It says realtor on your friggin' license plate.
Yeah.
They know. Why do they list with the person down the street that doesn't even live in the neighborhood? You live in the neighborhood. You know the neighborhood. Why? Because they don't trust your systems and processes. You triggered them somehow, some way at some point that they didn't want to do business with you. And instead of blaming the market, just be like, damn, like I literally could have done a better job.
Man.
So this new lawsuit, brother, I think it's going to put a lot of agents out of business personally, because a lot of agents relied on the buyer side, even though they said they wanted to be a listing agent and they don't like to work with buyers. They relied on the buyer side to pay their bills.
Yeah, the majority of the compensation, I would say, is probably coming from the buy side anyways. Like majority of agents like that, especially the agents that are on a team. Like I think teams hopefully will have a better opportunity.
No,
hopefully. But
nah, bro, it's going to, what Zillow's trying to do, because Zillow knows that if they don't train the consumer, they're going to lose a lot of business. So what Zillow's trying to do is they're trying to help train the consumer that they need to sign something.
Yeah.
And that's why Zillow's doing it. Zillow's not doing it because they care about agents. Zillow just got rid of like 10,000 agents off their programs because they only want to work with the teams that actually implement, because they know that that's how they make more money.
Well, and that's like, let's close out with that, because trust me, there are a lot of agents that I speak with, a lot of teams that are buying, they're on Zillow Premier. Zillow Premier, like, I honestly think that like you're going to see we already think there was like 6 states we've already
shut down.
We've already seen shut down. Share my screen really quickly and show you. I'll end with this.
They've been doing it for years. They do.
Zillow Premier, like on Reddit, Zillow Premier agent leads going away. They're moving more towards the they want to work with the flex.
So here's my takeaway.
Yeah.
you need to be able to talk about your services. You need to show, flow, and demo how you're going to do things, right? You need to have case studies because you need proof over promise, right? We've been doing case studies for over a decade in our business where we showed how our agent to agent relationship was the dominating factor in an offer where we were lower in price and we had less favorable terms. But because I was an agent that got shit done, then other agents wanted me because we know how to present an offer and present the buyer. The other agents were like, oh, we really want your buyer, right? And there was offers where we won multiple offers because we just presented better and created a relationship with the listing agent. And a lot of agents are like, well, we just send over the offer and text them, say, hey, we sent an offer. And I'm like, you guys, these are $500,000. These are $1 million. These are $400,000 properties. These are $8,000 commissions, $12,000, $30,000. And you just text, like, so many offers we got, brother, went to my spam folder. And then we went through 18 offers on our listings. And then we got a text 2 days later. Hey, I see the property went pending. Oh, yeah, it did. It went pending like a day and a half ago, actually. I mean, how can I help you? Well, our buyers are pissed. Why? Well, we sent an offer and we didn't hear anything. I'm like, where did you send the offer to? Bro, they sent it to the wrong email address.
Yeah.
They sent it to us and it went to spam because they sent it in a funky way with like a bunch of attachments. They would send us individual pages taken with a picture. They take pictures with their phone and they would send us 36 pictures. And I'm like, dude, how am I going to look in spam? Well, isn't that your job? I'm like, I don't know, dude. I mean, your offer sucked, but your offer was 40 grand, like 6% below all the other offers. So can I put you on hold for a second, Bob? Like, what's up? Isn't it your job to make sure that I received your client's offer? It's not my job to check 96 inboxes. Isn't that your job as the agent to make sure I got something? And they're like, well, no. I was like, cool, brother. Well, you lost anyways. Good luck.
Let's close out with this. I found the article here. Can you show you? But Zillow goes exclusively to commissions and 2 more markets. So yeah, it was Charlotte and Durham, North Carolina.
That was last year.
Yeah, that was last year. But there was another one recently. I think it was Florida. Yeah. Recently, this is last year. But
it's hard to find them, dude. It's hard. Like Zillow, like scrubs the internet to pull those off.
Yeah, so it's really
because it's hard to find them. You got to go to Reddit, and even there, it's hard to find them.
But yeah, it is what it is. It's coming down the pipeline. If they make more money off of Flex, which they do, 35, 40, 45% commission splits, it's way more lucrative for them to run the Flex program than it is for them to run the.
I'll finish off with this. If you don't know how to communicate to a buyer that is going to wait for the market to fall or wait for rates to come down, or if you don't know how to communicate, and that we have so many conversations, if you don't know how to communicate with somebody who says, I just want to wait to see what happens, and you're like, all right, cool, well, I'll call you in 6 months, you don't deserve to be in this industry because I'll be real, in 6 months, prices are going to be more expensive.
Yeah.
Right. And if there is a market crash, they're not going to buy anything because they don't have the confidence and you don't have the skills to give them the confidence. So the rich are going to keep buying up properties if the market crashes. The poor are going to stay poor. And it's not because they couldn't buy in a downturn. It's because you couldn't communicate to them the effective ways. And that's why our clients like Jan. Bro, Jan's going to double his business this year. He's already closed the same amount.
It's really cool.
He's already got pending and closed the same amount.
Super cool.
Right. Mario, he just texted me last night. He doesn't work with us anymore, but he's been in the program for a year plus. And he's like, hey, I'm good for, I need a break. I'm good for a few months. He just texted me last night. I just put a 1.2.
Oh, man.
No, a 2.3 million. 2.3 million is top tier in his marketplace.
So good.
Right. Our client, Molly, she's like, yo, I get calls now from other agents and I'm like upset because it's just so bad to hear it. And she's like, I can't believe I used to sound like that.
Hey.
And she was crushing it. She did like 22 transactions last year.
We're just getting started right now with the Real Estate Sales Academy. Like, we're going to take off.
Just beginning.
We have a lot of exciting things to talk about probably in the next couple of months when it comes to on the RJ podcast that we're going to share with you guys. So, if you're listening, wherever you're at in the world, we want to say thank you. We want to say thank you for tuning in to another episode of the RJ podcast. Get any value out of these podcasts, whether it be an interview, whether it be Vic and I doing, these solo episodes. We love it. If you could leave us a review on iTunes, or subscribe to us on YouTube. Picking up a ton of momentum lately on YouTube. Shout out to our assistant and director of communications, Sophia. She does some cool stuff for us, and I want to give her a shout out on this podcast. Vic, any last words before we take off today?
Follow me in the Real Estate Sales Dojo on Facebook. We do a lot of free trainings there. We do a lot of invites off of that page to our live training calls. Like yesterday, we did a 90-minute training on tonality and energy and how to utilize that to help people make decisions. Come to one of those. Like if you're not in the dojo, you're not going to get the invite. So come to the dojo, come and hang out, ask questions. I have no friends. So I basically play with my plants and I answer questions all day long.
You got a Latina girlfriend. You got friends. You got me as well. Like that makes.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, you know, I'm a worker, bro. I like to work. Like
I get you.
I'm not taking my laptop this weekend to the beach and Salme's like, you're not taking your computer. I'm like, nah, babe. Like I'm gonna leave it at home. She's like, she didn't know what to say. She's like,
what?
Okay, funny joke, haha. I'm like, nah, babe. Like spa day all day tomorrow.
Take some time, man. Take some time yourself. So thing in the world. Hey, I want to say thank you for tuning into another episode of the REH podcast. We'll see you soon.